Summary of Canto 3, Chapter 1. Questions by Vidura. Shaunaka Rishi enquired about the topics of Vidura's leaving home, his pilgrimage, and conversation with Maitreya Rishi. So Suta Goswami replied by quoting Shukadeva Goswami, who had already explained this subject matter in response to Maharaj Parikshit's similar enquiries. Shukadeva Goswami, considering that the questions of Parikshit were previously asked by Vidura to Maitreya, he started to narrate the events leading to the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. Previously, Vidura had renounced his prosperous home and he entered the forest where he met Maitreya Rishi and asked him questions. Maharaj Parikshit asked, kindly describe where and when did this discussion between Vidura and Maitreya take place. Questions by saintly Vidura must have been so appropriate, significant, important, and purposeful. Being pleased with Parikshit's questions, the great sage and highly experienced Shukadev Goswami told him, yes, I will tell you, please hear attentively. First, he described the atrocities of Dhritarashtra and his associates. He said, blinded by the impious desire to nourish his dishonest sons, Dhritarashtra had set fire to the lacquer house to burn his fatherless nephews, the Pandavas. Dhritarashtra did not forbid Dushasana's horrible act of dragging Draupadi by her hair into the assembly, although she was weeping. Dhritarashtra and his associates cheated Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir was Ajata Shatru. They cheated him in a gambling match and later refused his rightful share of the kingdom. Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, they lost the last ounce of piety. They didn't respect the nectarian words of Krishna, who is considered the Guru of the universe. On being invited by Dhritarashtra for consultation, the expert advisor Vidura gave him some very good advice. Vidura told Dhritarashtra, you better return the legitimate share of the Pandavas who have tolerated all your offences. You are fearful of the revengeful Bhima who is breathing like a snake. Lord Krishna is on their side and the kings and the Yadus are with Krishna. Get rid of your son. Duryodhana is the biggest curse of this family. He is offense personified and he is envious of Lord Sri Krishna. He is the cause of all inauspiciousness. So when Duryodhana heard this, Duryodhana began to insult Vidura. Duryodhana was swollen with anger and with lips trembling, he insulted Vidura. He told, this so-called son of a maidservant, why is he here? He betrays those upon whom he subsisted and spies in the enemy's interest. Drive him out from this palace. Struck by the sharp words of Duryodhan, placing his bow on the door, Vidura left his brother's place without being sorry, considering that all this is the acts of Maya. Vidura understood the influence of the Lord's external energy on Duryodhan, who was heading towards his own ruination. And he saw how the Lord's internal energy was helping him to engage fully in devotional service. Vidura is highly elevated and pious, yet he thought that he lost his piety by the association of the diplomatic Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, and he was not fit to associate with the Lord at once. Therefore, although Lord Krishna was personally present in the world at that time, Vidura did not approach him directly, but he decided to travel to holy places to achieve greater piety in order to advance nearer to the Lord. Vidura's travels and pilgrimage is described. To get higher pious credits, Vidura traveled all over the holy places in many directions. He traveled alone, thinking only of Krishna in many places like the cities, orchards, villages, and so many other places where the different deities of the Lord existed. Vidura's ideal conduct as a pilgrim was that he was pure, he was independent in occupation, he was always sanctified, He was sleeping on earth, he was unseen by his relatives, he performed severe vows, and he did everything just to please Lord Sri Hari. Vidura reached Prabhas Kshetra. At that time, Maharaj Yudhishthir gained control over the entire earth. At Prabhasa, Vidura came to know that all his relatives had died, just as an entire forest is burnt into fire produced by the friction of bamboos. In grief, he silently proceeded to the west. Vidura visited all the 11 places of pilgrimage on the bank of the river Saraswati. He also visited many temples and deities of Lord Vishnu established by great souls. Passing through various provinces, Vidura finally reached the bank of the Yamuna where he met Uddhava. Vidura affectionately embraced Uddhava, who is the disciple of Brihaspati and a friend of Lord Sri Krishna, and he began to inquire from him. The welfare of the devotees depend on the situation of the Lord. So Vidura first asked about the Lord. He asked, are the original personalities of Godhead Sri Krishna and Balram who have descended on the request of Lord Brahma doing well in the house of Surasena? Then he began to inquire about the Yadus. He asked, how is Vasudev, Pradyumna, Ugrasena, Samba, Yuyudhana, Akrura, Devaki, Aniruddha, Pridika, Charudeshna, Gada, and others. Then he inquired about the Kurus. He asked, how are the Pandavas and how is Kunti? Vidura also described each of these personalities briefly by quoting an incident or an activity that they did. He said, I simply lament for Dhritarashtra. He drove me out of the house, though I was a sincere well-wisher of his. But I am happy travelling, and I am not at all astonished at this action of the Lord's Maya, which bewilders all people in general. Although Lord Sri Krishna is always willing to relieve the distress of surrendered devotees and saw the kings going astray by the different kinds of pride that they had because of wealth, education, and followers, he refrained from personally killing the Kurus immediately. But that does not mean that he excused their offenses. He waited to get them together on the battlefield of Kurukshetra to kill them all at one shot. And he made his devotee Arjuna the hero of the battle. Then Vidura, he spoke about the two reasons of the Lord's appearance. He said the unborn Lord takes birth to kill the wicked, although without action, he acts to attract all kinds of people, karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. Otherwise, why would the transcendental Lord come to the earth? Even his pure devotee has no connection with material body. He is not like an ordinary living entity who is forced to take birth by karma. He mercifully appeared in the family of the Yadus to show mercy to the surrendered rulers. Therefore, please chant the glories of the Lord who is glorified in holy places. I bathed in almost all holy places, but now you bathe me in the holiest place, which is the pastimes of Krishna. This ends the summary of Canto 3, Chapter 1, Questions by Vidura. Hare Krishna.